Perfect. So for anybody who doesn't really know, what is your business and how did you get started?
Yeah, so Delicious is a all-natural Indian-inspired skincare and body care brand. We started around, I want to say around 4 years ago now, and it was a very organic start. We had no intention of actually even starting a beauty brand per se, but it was because I had actually developed a dry skin condition when I was pregnant with my second daughter, and being of a South Asian descent, it came very naturally to me to formulate products using natural ingredients. Because usually what doctors do is they just kind of prescribe steroids for anything,
Yeah.
dry skin or eczema related. I didn't want to use that because obviously I was pregnant. So, yeah, and coming from a South Asian background, it's very, very normal and very natural for us to always kind of look to remedies and recipes that have been in the family for generations. That's very common across South Asian culture. So I started formulating with my
Hmm.
husband. We came up with a body scrub, and we used a very unique ingredient which wasn't on the market, which was a specific grain of Assam tea. And that was sourced directly from India. So we literally just came up with one product. I started using it and honestly saw a difference within like a couple of days. It was insane. And that's kind of like
Oh,
when we had the
wow.
idea. We thought, you know what, there's actually a gap in the market for something like an Indian beauty brand that's like fun. It has personality, and yeah, we literally just like launched with one product. I was like still on maternity leave at the time. I was teaching. I was in a full-time job, and yeah, it just kind of was very, very organic and started with one product. And we now have an entire range. So we've got moisturizers, we've got lip balms, we're also now into hair care and we do gifting. So yeah, it kind of all started with one product, which we were just making at home.
That's incredible. So it's were you kind of like interested in products like this before you got started in this business, or was this just purely because you were pregnant, you saw that you had some eczema and you were just like, I don't want to be using this, so I'm going to
Yeah, I
create
mean,
my own
frankly,
product?
yeah, it was exactly that. I didn't have the intention, we didn't have the intention to start a brand per se, but it was when we created the product because of a need that, was present in my life,
Yeah.
and realized how great it was and realized actually there's nothing like this out there. And we thought, this is an opportunity to just kind of see where it goes. There was no like 5-year plan. There was no like intention to like create loads of different products under, this skincare company. It was just kind of like, yeah, let's just see how it goes. Like it's worked for me, so it's obviously gonna maybe help other people too. So yeah, it just had a really genuine roots. But that being said, I was very aware of the fact that there wasn't a lot of beauty brands out there that did have that South Asian heritage and did it in a very particular way. Like it was very old school, very traditional in the way that when people think of Ayurveda, which is the Indian medicinal system that we use, you kind of think of like yoga
Hmm.
and just like like a
Yeah.
very cool, traditional thing, and that's not what it is at all. It's something that is it's something that people can relate to. It's very easy to integrate into your life, and that was what we wanted to create. We thought, what, there's nothing out there that's like fun and like easy to understand, so let's kind of make this brand that can like demystify like Ayurveda per se.
Yeah. That's incredible. So, how long? So, at the start, where did you kind of go when it came to like marketing the product or even selling the product? Was it something really organic where you were sharing it with friends and then word of mouth came about?
Well, it was kind of like, so we literally like built the website, launched with one product, and of course, had like no sales because nobody knew about us.
Yeah.
And I'd literally just had a baby, right? So I was like very much like knee deep in like nappies and like no sleep. But Instagram is where we started. So I started, creating like the brand page and just kind of posting there. We, sales kind of started trickling in. But it was more so when we started to get a bit of press. So that was one of my like early objectives. I was like, you know what, we're a brand new business in a market which is very saturated. What's going to make us stand out is if we get some press. So I started kind of hounding a few journalists and just kind of asking if I could acquire a product. It was really was just kind of me sending DMs to journalists and emailing them, and I think it was a Harper's Bazaar picked up on it and said, yeah, we'll try it, and they really liked it. So we had a beauty editor from Harper's Bazaar say, yeah, like loved it. This is like one of the best body scrubs to try for this summer. And that kind of really helped because other journalists then started to reach out and say, oh, can we also try the product? And then we had the BBC reach out and invite us on the radio to talk about it. So it was kind
Oh,
of
that's
like,
amazing.
yeah, it was just within the first kind of 3 to 6 months that kind of kicked off. And then we were featured on like BBC Asian Network. We went on and kind of talked about like the brand and about, you know, the story and how important it is to have like natural remedies and Indian natural remedies in the market. And then we were approached by Glossybox, which is the UK's biggest subscription box. And they were kind of like, yeah, I mean, we have a delicious themed box, actually. I think it was called Delicious. And they were like, oh, it's pretty perfect. You guys are called Delicious. You know, would you want to supply our beauty box? And it was a huge order of 100,000 units.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it was insane. And bearing in mind, we didn't have a factory. We were still making everything at home. So
Yeah.
we took the order on. So we did it. We did it from our house. We literally turned our house into a factory. We had like one room was like a filling room, one room was like heat sealing. Like we did it. We, you know, it wasn't even a money making thing because that's just not how the model works. But for us, it was the marketing. We were like, we
Right.
can do this and we can, you know, get our product out there through such a great subscription box, which is massive. You know, Glossybox was huge, especially at the time. And they had a massive social
It's
media
huge.
following, and they were great. They were really supportive. They were really like, we get it. We know that you're really small, but we'll do what we can to help you to fulfill this order, and we did. And that was kind of the start of it for us, where we suddenly had all these people like sharing on their stories that they've got their Glossybox and it had our product in it. And it was really exciting, and it was just off the back of that we were then kind of expanding the range. So we thought, okay, we've got one body scrub, let's do three. And then then we went into our body balms, and that's like a whole different story. But yeah, that was pretty much the beginning for us.
That is an incredible story because I can't even imagine being a small business and trying to figure out different ways to grow and expand. And obviously, marketing is the number one thing. Like, you need to market your brand or it's not going to go anywhere. And yeah, that's incredible that you were like, your first thought was like, I need people to talk about this and journalists need to be talking about this.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was like my main go-to because for me it was like I used to dissect what other brands or other successful brands had like on their website, and a lot of them did have like these like press. I suppose this is like pre-TikTok era, right? This is like pre-influencer really as well. Influencers were a big thing, right? Like 4 years ago, they really weren't, and it was more like if you saw that a brand was featured in Cosmo or Glamour, you'd be like, oh, like that gives them that kind of brand validity, and that was really really
Yep.
key to us. I was like, need to build brand validity to stand out, to say, actually, Glamour or whichever magazine has said this product is worth trying.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that you have amassed a following, how do you think that social media has helped you with building your overall brand?
I mean, social media has literally been insane for us. Like, we have only recently started doing paid advertising, and before that, we didn't spend a penny on advertising. We didn't need to. So
Oh, wow.
again, it happened really organically. So Instagram was still ticking along, and then TikTok came along. And we were in the pandemic, and we kind of developed the body balms. And again, it was one of those things where people were like not that bothered to try a new product. Like, I remember pitching it to like stockists and retailers, and it was kind of just like, yeah, they look interesting, but we don't think, we're not sure, it's just a moisturizer. And then TikTok started, and I initially joined TikTok with the idea that I was going to use it to help other small businesses. It's kind of like a behind the scenes of, well, how we run our business, and this is kind of where where I get my supplies from, and this is how we pack orders.
Yeah.
But then it was like, I think it was one person had spoken to a magazine, and she had said that our product had helped her psoriasis. And I made a TikTok on it, and it just blew up. Like, it just went crazy,
Oh,
where people were
wow.
like, "Oh my god, this helps psoriasis!" And, "Oh my god, do you think it could help eczema?" And then at the time, we were making these balms at home, so we were making like kind of lots of like 200 at a time, and they were just selling out.
Yeah.
Like, see every single TikTok I posted afterwards was more and more people buying the product and sharing pictures. Like, we wouldn't even ask them; they would just send us pictures, like, "Oh my god, look at what it's done to my skin, my eggs have gone." It was just insane, and it was very, very organic, and it was this crazy moment where we were always out of stock. Like, we would do, like, literally, I would just post a TikTok, it would just blow up. We'd get like hundreds of thousands of views, and people were just dying for the product. And then we built a wait list. I think it reached around 50,000 people for these balms because people were like, this stuff works. And it was just insane. It was really cool. We were still making products at home, and there's only like two of us, and we could only really hand make like max, a couple of hundred at a time. We'd announce a restock, and
Yeah.
just go to our website and it would just blow up. Literally, it was like 2 minutes, and they were all gone. And that was all down to social media. Like, if it wasn't for our TikTok and joining in those early days when the algorithm was probably more favorable towards small businesses, I don't think we'd be.
Yeah.
I don't think we would have reached the level that we have without it.
That is incredible. I was going to ask you, I was like, what social media channel do you think is the best for building a brand or business online? Obviously TikTok, but do you think Instagram is still pretty helpful for you?
I think Instagram, I actually, because it's just me and my husband right now running the business. It's just two of us. Social media does take up a lot of my time. And I felt like I dedicated a lot of time to TikTok. And I thought, Instagram is just kind of like it's kind of like your brand page where you make it look pretty. But actually, a month ago, I actually really invested a lot of time in Reels. And again, we saw crazy growth. We saw insane like sales from it. I think we grew like 30,000 followers in a month. And I generally think it's where you plug your energy. I don't even think it's about which platform is necessarily better anymore. I think every platform has a strategy, but you have to really test the algorithm and know your brand values. Like, if you build those brand values through your social media, which is something we do, and something I'm really passionate about, is kind of telling the brand story and the authenticity and being honest and transparent and showing the journey of beauty ingredients. I think any platform is actually worth investing time into, whether it's Instagram or it's TikTok.
That is such a good point. And it's something that I am like really passionate about here with like all of our blogs, and just, I do a podcast as well, and trying to help social media managers and marketers figure out their brand voice, their brand values, and how important that is for marketing and social media. So I'm so glad that you said that, because I completely agree. Okay. So yeah, I completely agree with just building a brand is so important, and knowing your values is incredibly important. So touching on that a bit, for people who are getting a bit discouraged and they're just starting out on social media and just starting out like figuring out who their brand is, what is some advice that you wish that you heard at the start when you were just getting started?
I think it would be to not copy and look at what everyone else is doing, because I think when people start off social media with a brand, they kind of think, oh, this is the brand I want to be like, I'm just going to copy what they're doing. And that doesn't always work, because that brand has its own brand values and they're speaking to their own type of customer. You got to find your own customer, and without actually having authentic brand values, your brand is never going to do well on social media. Like, it's so important to know what is it like that makes your brand special. What is it that you are passionate about and you want to bring through your business or your brand? And without knowing that, there's no authenticity behind it, and you'll just fall stagnant. Because I see that a lot. I mean, even when I started, I think I was kind of like, oh yeah, we kind of want to be like this big beauty brand. Let's just have a look at what they're doing, and it was just so disingenuous, and people can see through that. However, if you're starting your own business and you're kind of really authentic about the story of why you're there, why are you in the market, people are going to resonate with that, and that's what's going to help you grow.
Absolutely. I love that. So probably like one of my last questions, what tools have helped you build your business online? So you've got obviously help like reaching out to PR people, reaching out to magazines and all that kind of stuff. That was super helpful for you to build your business. But what other things have helped you kind of grow and focus your business?
I mean, I think it's just kind of like the standard tools that a lot of small businesses are probably already familiar with. Building your own website, like Shopify, we use Shopify, and so easy, so simple, and user friendly for any kind of beginner. Or so building your own website, we use Shopify. They've been great, and we still use them even as we've grown, because it's just one of those platforms that you can just build upon very easily. You just add on your apps, you know, you can upgrade your pricing plan, create a, yeah, so Shopify definitely. And I think design tools like Canva have been great for us. Like, again, it's just, I don't think there's anything out there that we use in particular just to grow the business. I think it's all the kind of standard tools. We also use a really good email marketing platform called Klaviyo. They're great for us. But yeah, we kind of go with all the big, well-known brands to build the business. And again, just social media, whatever we can use, it's always free. We don't tend to do paid things, especially when we were starting out. Like
Yep.
everything we used was free. Like you don't need a big budget to start a small business at all. And I think that's a very common misconception. But yeah, and like obviously recently we started using Flick as well, which is great. Like, you know, I've been using the caption writing tool and the new AI tools that Flick has, which have been really helpful as well. So yeah.
Amazing. Is there any last piece of advice that you would give to a small business or somebody just starting out with their business?
I think my last piece of advice would be to like don't be discouraged if you don't make sales in the first couple of months. Like that is not your time to focus on sales, because I think a lot of people think they're going to switch that website on and they're going to have like all of these kind of sales pouring in. I had somebody reach out to me who was starting a candle brand, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm so excited, I'm so excited." And then she launched it and she didn't get any sales. So she was like, "Oh, I'm just going to pivot and do something else." And I was like, "Well, you need
Oh
to really
no.
like, yeah, you need to really like invest a lot of time." And I think a lot of people say, you know, well, oh, you're so lucky, and I'm like, there's really no luck involved. It truly is time investment. Like, don't give up too soon. Like, if you feel like something isn't working, it's very slow, don't think about sales. Sales will come when you build your
Yep.
brand, and that is the honest truth of it. If people can resonate and connect in a world which is so noisy, if you can cut through the noise and speak to somebody with authentic values, you're going to get a customer.
Yep. I love that. I love that piece of advice. Thank you so much for talking with me today. I'm so excited to be writing this up. I'm so excited to now know about your brand because I'm definitely going to be purchasing some of that balm because it looks incredible.